The British Grand Prix delivered another difficult weekend for Red Bull, but the biggest headline wasn't where Max Verstappen finished or how many championship points slipped away. Instead, the focus shifted to something far more serious. For the second race in a row, Verstappen experienced a high-speed rear-wing failure that left him with virtually no warning before losing crucial downforce in one of the fastest sections of the circuit. At Silverstone, the problem struck as he entered Stowe Corner, a place where Formula One drivers rely completely on aerodynamic grip and absolute confidence in their machinery. When that confidence suddenly disappears, the consequences can be severe. Verstappen's car slid off the circuit, ending another frustrating race and raising immediate questions about the reliability of Red Bull's latest aerodynamic package. His emotional reaction over team radio reflected much more than disappointment. After surviving two similar incidents in consecutive race weekends, Verstappen made it clear that his frustration came from the feeling that the car had put him in unnecessary danger. Losing positions or missing out on a podium is one thing. Being caught off guard by a mechanical issue at high speed is something entirely different. What makes the Silverstone incident especially troubling is that it wasn't an isolated failure. Just 1 week earlier in Austria, Verstappen suffered another high-speed accident after a problem with the rear wing disrupted the car's aerodynamic balance. Although the technical causes appear to be different, the outcome was almost identical: a sudden loss of rear grip at one of the fastest points on the circuit. In Austria, the issue sent Verstappen into the barriers during qualifying, ending his session in dramatic fashion. At Silverstone, he was slightly more fortunate, with the car coming to rest in the gravel instead of making heavy contact with the wall. Even so, the similarities between the two incidents were impossible to ignore. Two consecutive race weekends had produced nearly the same frightening result, and that immediately shifted attention toward the reliability of Red Bull's evolving design. To understand why these incidents have become such a major concern, it's important to look at the technology behind Red Bull's rear wing. Modern Formula One teams are constantly searching for ways to reduce drag on the straights while maintaining maximum downforce through the corners. Achieving both goals at the same time is one of the biggest engineering challenges in the sport. Red Bull's latest rear wing design was introduced earlier in the season as part of a broader aerodynamic upgrade package. While the concept shares the same overall objective as similar systems seen elsewhere on the grid, Red Bull developed its own solution with a unique mechanical movement. The design is intended to open on long straights to reduce aerodynamic resistance, allowing the car to reach higher top speeds before returning to its high downforce position for cornering. In theory, the system offers the best of both worlds. Drivers gain extra straight-line speed without sacrificing the grip needed in fast turns. But that advantage only exists if the mechanism works perfectly every single time. If the wing fails to return completely to its cornering position, the rear of the car instantly loses a significant amount of aerodynamic load. The rear wing failure may have brought Verstappen's race to an early end, but the warning signs had been there long before Sunday. Throughout the British Grand Prix weekend, he repeatedly reported that the RB22 simply wasn't behaving the way it should. Instead of building confidence with every session, the car became more difficult to drive as the weekend progressed. From the opening practice sessions, Verstappen complained about an inconsistent balance that made it hard to attack the circuit's high-speed corners. Silverstone is a track that rewards stability and precision, yet the Red Bull struggled to deliver either. Every adjustment seemed to solve one issue while creating another, leaving the team searching for answers. Qualifying highlighted those weaknesses even further. Verstappen lacked the straight-line performance he expected and also reported problems with power deployment, particularly through the final sector where acceleration plays a critical role. The lap time deficit wasn't caused by a single mistake. Instead, small losses accumulated across several corners and straights, making it impossible to challenge at the very front. As frustration grew, Verstappen reportedly pushed for more aggressive setup changes, even suggesting that starting from the pit lane might provide an opportunity to make significant alterations to the car. It was an unusual request, but one that reflected how little confidence he had in the current package. Beyond the technical problems, one of the biggest talking points after Silverstone was the difference in opinion between Verstappen and Red Bull over race strategy. It wasn't about tire choice or the pit stop timing. Instead, the debate centered on whether the team should have made significant setup changes and accepted a pit lane start. After qualifying, Verstappen reportedly believed the RB22's issues ran deeper than simple fine-tuning. With balance problems persisting and confidence in the car continuing to fade, he felt a more aggressive approach offered the best chance of improving the situation. Starting from the pit lane would have sacrificed track position, but it also would have given the engineers greater freedom to adjust the car before the race. Red Bull ultimately rejected that option. The team's leadership believed that beginning from the grid still provided a stronger opportunity to recover positions and score valuable championship points. From their perspective, even an imperfect car could produce a respectable result if everything unfolded in their favor during the race. Even if Red Bull manages to eliminate the rear wing issue before the next race, that alone won't solve the team's biggest challenge. Silverstone exposed a much broader picture, one that suggests the RB22 is still missing the all-around performance needed to consistently fight at the front. Throughout the weekend, Verstappen repeatedly pointed to the car's unpredictable balance. High-speed corners were the most obvious weakness, but the problems didn't stop there. Medium-speed sections lacked the stability needed to carry momentum, while slower corners made it difficult to put power down cleanly on corner exit. Instead of excelling in one area and compromising in another, the RB22 appeared to struggle across multiple parts of the circuit. That became particularly noticeable at Silverstone because of the track's demanding layout. With a combination of fast sweeping bends, technical sequences, and long straights, the circuit tests every aspect of a Formula One car. Any weakness is quickly exposed, and Red Bull's package simply never looked completely comfortable. Whenever Red Bull goes through a difficult period, speculation about Max Verstappen's future quickly returns. A single disappointing weekend is rarely enough to spark serious rumors, but a combination of mechanical failures, inconsistent performance, and visible frustration naturally leads to questions about what comes next. Following the British Grand Prix, Verstappen didn't make any dramatic announcements or suggest that a decision had already been made. Instead, his comments reflected the mindset of a driver who had simply reached the end of an exhausting weekend. After dealing with repeated technical setbacks and another race-ending incident, he admitted that stepping away for a few days to reset mentally was exactly what he needed before the next event. Even so, every public remark is now being analyzed closely. Reports continue to suggest that his contract contains provisions that could influence his long-term future under certain circumstances. Whether those clauses become relevant remains uncertain, but their existence keeps the conversation alive whenever Red Bull struggles to deliver a competitive package. While the rear-wing failures have dominated the headlines, another challenge is quietly unfolding away from the racetrack, one that could have long-term consequences for Red Bull's competitiveness. Behind closed doors, the team is also dealing with concerns over Formula One's engine development rules and how they could shape the remainder of the season. The current regulations are designed to keep manufacturers relatively close in performance by allowing additional development opportunities for those judged to be behind the benchmark. On paper, the system is intended to prevent one engine supplier from falling too far behind while encouraging closer competition across the grid. Red Bull, however, believes the current evaluation doesn't tell the full story. According to the team's assessment, its power unit may appear strong in certain performance measurements, but that doesn't necessarily reflect every area that matters on race weekends. Modern Formula One engines are incredibly complex, with overall performance depending on far more than outright power alone. Energy deployment, drivability, efficiency, and reliability all play major roles in determining lap time. The encouraging news for the team is that the season is far from over. Formula One can change quickly, and a successful upgrade or a breakthrough in reliability can completely reshape the competitive picture. Red Bull has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to recover from difficult moments, and its engineers now face another opportunity to prove why the organization has remained one of the sport's elite teams. The question is no longer whether Red Bull can respond to a difficult weekend. The real test is whether it can solve several interconnected problems at once before they begin defining the rest of its season. If those answers arrive soon, the championship fight could take another dramatic turn. If they don't, Silverstone may be remembered not as an isolated setback, but as the race that exposed just how many obstacles Red Bull still had left to overcome.